Asitango Ruruschanda Krodhaschonmatta Bhairavaha Kapali Bhishanaschaiva Samharascha Bhairavam. Bhairava, Kala Bhairava, is the Lord of Time. When we worship Kala Bhairava, as we are going to learn in those sessions of dance, we will understand that there are 8 aspects of Kala Bhairava. Not only are there 8 directions like east, southeast, south, southwest, west, northwest, north, northeast. So the 4 cardinal and the 4 ordinal directions. Not only do we have them as directions, but there are aspects of time and the energy that is derived from each of these directions. And therefore, Bhairava, when he is worshipped, Kala Bhairava as we call him, the time, Bhairava as time, excuse me. Bhairava as time, then he has also 8 aspects. And guess what? Each of those aspects corresponds to each of these Devis. Why? Because in each of those aspects, in each of those directions, these Devis are his Shaktis, his consorts. We miss that. We miss the connection between Kala Bhairava and his Shakti in that stage, right in the very beginning. And therefore our progress went a little bit, but it stopped. So allow me, in all humility and reverence, I want to share that connection between Kala Bhairava and Devi. Because without Shakti, Bhairava is nothing. Without Bhairava, Shakti doesn't even exist. Right? They're both, that is what we will learn eventually in Sri Chakra. Finally, when you go there, you will see Shiva and Shakti merged as one. In fact, there are traditions where they will chant Shiva and Shakti mantra into this. We will explore that if necessary as we go along. This is what happens. So the first element, Brahmi, the first energy of Brahmi, is the consort wife, Shakti principle. Let's call her the Shakti. The Shakti of what Bhairava? Asitanga Bhairava. So when we learn the first verse of Bhairavashtakam, we're going to face east and do that. Now, if your TV is facing west and you have to learn this, that's fine. But when you want to memorize it, face east and memorize that first verse, because the first verse is dedicated to Asitanga Bhairava. East. The energy comes from the east. This Bhairava, what does Asitanga mean? Asita means dark. Anga is body. Now, dark means what? It is invisible. You can't see him very easily. That's what it means. Don't understand dark as something with night, something with terror and all of that. Because usually the word Bhairava scares people. But no, dark means very difficult to see. He is Asitanga. But he's from the east. So he can rise like the sun in your consciousness. So we worship Asitanga Bhairava when we learn the first verse of Kala Bhairavashtakam. But here we have to understand that when we say Brahmi, as we chant these mantras, when we come to Brahmi, not only we connect her to the Siddhis and all that, like that we learned in the previous class, we've got to understand Brahmi is a consort of, she's the one who energizes Asitanga Bhairava. And so when we learn Bhairava, Kala Bhairavashtakam as a sadhana, then this becomes easier. When you learn this, you learn that. That is how these learnings are done in a very holistic, powerful, spiritual manner, because ultimately we begin to grow spiritually. What is the vehicle of this Bhairava? It is swan, a white swan. What is the energy of this Bhairava? Creativity. Brahmi is creativity. Energy of Bhairava is creativity. Because east, when the east comes, you get fresh ideas first thing in the morning, right? So think of Brahmi and Asitanga Bhairava. So this is an energy of Brahmi. Then comes southeast, right? So the next energy is Maheshwari. Maheshwari is a consort of which Bhairava? Ruru Bhairava. Ruru. Ruru is the second Bhairava. Now this Bhairava energy comes from the southeast. Now if you read internet and anywhere else, if they are mentioned, they will say facing east and facing south. He is not facing southeast. When you face southeast, that energy flows to you. Okay? So let's be very clear on that. When you face east, you are looking at Asitanga Bhairava, who is blessing you from the east. You're looking at his energy, his blessing, his energy, his Shakti is Brahmi that comes to us. So when we do Kala Bhairavashtakam, the first verse facing east, then Brahmi comes through Asitanga Bhairava. And that energy of Brahmi brings creativity in us. Now you have to practice it to experience this. There is really no other way. It's faith, Shraddha and Saburi. Faith, perseverance, patience and practice. Abhyasa or sadhana. So Ruru Bhairava. What is the meaning of Ruru Bhairava? Is antelope. Think of the energy of selflessness. Antelope. When you think of an antelope, the self is very soft and timid, very gentle. So if somebody tells you Bhairava is very dangerous and all of that, tell them, have you heard of Ruru Bhairava? Who is Ruru Bhairava? He is the antelope type of energy comes from there. Gentle warmth. Gentle. That's why we ideally you would cook facing southeast, because that is the Agni, the warmth comes from there in Vastu and all that. So I don't want to confuse you with all that. Antelope. Antelope is an energy of selflessness. It's not like a lion, but the energy of Bhairava. So he sits in a bull. Bull here represents steadfastness, like Nandi, steadfast, sitting and staring at Shiva, and nothing else bothers him. Nothing can shake him. You see, a bull sits on the road, nothing will shake. So here, bull represents steadfastness, perseverance. Once you get onto this path, nothing should shake you on this path. That is the energy. And what is the energy that comes here? Who is Ruru? Ruru is a divine educator. Anybody who teaches what I have learned from Swami and what I have seen in Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba is you teach selflessly. That energy of teaching will flow through Maheshwari, through you, when it is selfless. In other words, you cannot teach with your hands spread out like this. You cannot teach with your mind thinking, what is in it for me? What am I getting out of this? You have to teach because you're guided to teach. You have to teach because if you have to teach. If you're teaching because it's your nature to teach. Then you enjoy teaching. You expect nothing. That selflessness is what makes us a divine educator. And once the teacher decides to teach, he is completely dedicated, like the bull. He says, okay, I am going to transform you. As I said a couple of days earlier, Baba would hold my hair and said, once I get hold of you, I will not let you go. Even if you want to let go of me, I will not let you go. So that is the Ruru energy. Gentle as an antelope, but steadfast as a bull. Soft words of wisdom, but powerful enough to change who we are. So Ruru Bhairava as the Maheshwari energy flows. When we do this, the second verse, facing southeast, we will learn that. So when we do the Bhairavashtakam, I'll say this verse we will do facing southeast. Why? You know it in this class. I'll try and make a separate, perhaps edit this again and put it as part of the Kala Bhairavashtakam playlist as well. Then comes south. South is Kaumari. People don't face south. They'll always fear as part of Vatsu because they'll say it's Yama, it's death. So we don't want to face south. But south is fearlessness. Because that's what challenges, makes you face the ghost in the closet. Don't be afraid. Be fearless. What is the energy of Kaumari? What is the principle through which Kaumari flows? The Kala Bhairava here is called Chanda Bhairava. Chanda. Asitango Rurus Chanda. The third word. Asitango Rurus Chanda. That is a sloka I will chant in the beginning of every of those Kala Bhairava sloka. It's all the 8 Bhairavas. Chanda Bhairava. Chanda Bhairava is from the south. What is his meaning? Chanda means fierce, passionate, he's hot. He wants to achieve things right away. He's the energy that pushes us, because to be fearless, you have to have that energy, right? So see how holistically we develop our personality. None of these energies are bad. It is all has the right place and the right context in our lives. There are times we have to be fearless. There are times we have to be passionate about what we believe in. There are times we have to be fierce and strong in our approach, right? If you want to break an addiction, you're not going to say, I will slowly try, little bit at a time. It will never go. You have to just say, done. I'm done with it. My father-in-law was smoking for perhaps 30, 40 years. When Baba performed a wedding a few years later, he said, you know what? I'm done with this. And just like that, he stopped smoking. I asked him, how did you do that? He said, I don't know. I just felt it. I did it. So you need to have that fierceness to say done. So that comes from this energy. The vehicle here is Peacock. Peacock is very beautiful and all that. But have you ever seen anybody hugging a peacock? And no, you can't. It's a very strong beak. It can digest poison and therefore it kills a snake because it has such powerful acidity. It's a powerful bird. So that bird, peacock, is linked to Kaumari, who is the energy of Kumara. So you see how the link goes between Bhairavi and Bhairava, as generally as we know these two energies. And this Chanda Bhairava instills the energy of confidence and the energy to overcome difficulties. All rivals, the rivals are inside us, right? Things that tell you can't do this, you're too small to do this, you're too old to do this. No, this is all fantasy, this is imagination. You have the energy to overcome that. You need that. So Chanda Bhairava gives you energy. When you dance facing south and you chant that third verse, then Kaumari comes through him because she is his consort, she is a Shakti, she comes to you. And thus, we will also, when you worship Sri Chakra, you will begin to appreciate this relation between Kaumari and Chanda Bhairava. I hope you liked where we are going, because this is very, very powerful. This was such a powerful aha moment for me. And suddenly, everything began to fall in place. I realized what an important aspect I had missed, and I should have done this long time ago. Vaishnavi is the next energy. It's about execution, as we heard, right? What is the Bhairava linked to Vaishnavi? She is now southwest. Southwest is Krodha Bhairava. That energy, Krodha. Krodha means what? What is the meaning of Krodha? Is anger, but constructive anger. Just like that, there is fierceness and fearlessness. Here there is Krodha, constructive anger. Baba would tell us, if you have to be angry, be like Durvasa. Because in his anger, there was a blessing in his anger, right? So, Kopam like Durvasa and Bhakti like Ambarisha, he would say. Some other time we'll explore this more. But if you all know these stories of Ambarisha and Durvasa, you will know what I'm talking about. He says, you have devotion like Ambarisha. If you have anger like Durvasa, because Durvasa was known for his anger, and he would curse people at a drop of a hat. But every curse, though it brought about difficulties at that moment, was actually a great divine blessing for that particular soul. And so there is a divine blessing involved in it. So there's this kind of energy that we need. Sometimes we need to be angry about certain things. We ourselves do. Why am I so lazy? Come on, get over this. We need to be strict with ourselves, right? Discipline comes out of that healthy anger, if you will. The Vahana, just like peacock, fearlessness and anger go together, south and southwest. So just like the peacock there, because it's Vaishnavi, here it is Garuda. Vaishnavi is Vishnu's energy. So Garuda is again a powerful eagle, right? Garuda is eagle. And therefore that eagle has the very, very high acidity. It can eat, it can kill snakes, it can digest poison just like anything. right? That's why we say Tarksha Mudra. There is a mudra we will learn in the Vayu classes that has the ability for our body to develop powerful immunity that is dedicated to the Garuda principle. Then this energy, therefore, it helps in executing huge tasks. Anything that appears too big for you, oh my God, how do I do this? This is way beyond me. I don't have the money for this, or I don't have the energy to do this. How do I achieve this? Oh wow. Many times we go there and we say, I can't do it, and walk away. But then when you invoke Bhairava from the southwest and say, you guide me in this, and he will open the doors for you to achieve mighty tasks. Anything is possible. A small fisherman became the mighty Saint Peter because of this energy that flowed through him. He was known for his anger and he fearlessness and tremendous faith in Jesus, right? And such you will hear stories of so many siddhas and saints. So this is that energy that Bhairava gives you from the southwest. Krodha Bhairava. So how many we have done now? Asitango Ruru Chanda Krodha. Then the next one will come. Because this forms into a sloka. The next one is Varahi. The energy of Devi that we study in the Sri Chakra is Varahi. Varahi is connected to a Bhairava who is now in the west. And that Bhairava is Unmatta Bhairava. Unmatta Bhairava. Unmatta Bhairava. It's a very beautiful word. Unmatta is if you explore the meaning on Sanskrit dictionaries, you will come across words like mad, intoxicated, uncontrolled, and things like that. So I picked up the word intoxicated because that's what Shiva is. He's intoxicated in his self. He's intoxicated in the divine bliss. That Bhairava gives you that energy to taste divine bliss. And that intoxication in turn help you develop the potential for leadership. We'll see how. The vehicle here is the horse. Princes rode the horse. Kings rode horses, right? In the war, you'll see all of the mighty soldiers, the mighty leaders in charge of the battalion or whatever it was, they call it the cohorts of armies that they had those days. They will be in horses. And so horse represents leadership. Horse represents speed, accuracy, and all of that, stamina, grace, all of that. So that energy is the horse. He rides the horse. And he helps control, this Bhairava helps control negative ego. Negative ego is nothing but pride. It brings down unnecessary pride. A leadership quality, one cannot be a leader if they have excessive pride. In other words, negative ego. Pride and negative ego comes from what? A sense of fear. In order to hide their fear, they push themselves, make more sound about who they think they are or who they want to project. Oh, this is me, this is that, this is who. And then keep projecting that because they think that's what makes them leadership. The true leader is fearless. The true leader doesn't have negative ego. Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, and all of these are great examples of they had nothing to be afraid, nothing to lose. They had very good self-esteem. And therefore, they were great leaders. This energy of Varahi, this energy of Unmatta Bhairava, he intoxicates you in such a way that there is no room for you to feel. That divinity begins to flow into your consciousness. That helps you become a leader. Then you know that there is an energy that's flowing through me. That energy is doing all this, not me. And therefore, when you understand that, there is no place for negative ego. So that is the energy, the direction of west. Then we come to Mahendri. Mahendri is Kapala Bhairava. So before we go to Mahendri, what have we learned so far? Asitango Ruru Chanda Krodonmatta Bhairavaha. So the sloka goes like that. Asitango Ruru Chanda Krodas Asitango Ruru Chanda Krodonmatta Bhairavaha. Kapali Bhishanaschaiva Samharashta Bhairavam. So we will come to the next ones. Okay. So we have studied so many now. 5 we have covered. Then Kapali. Kapala. Kapala is Sahasrara. Kapaleshwara Temple in Mylapore in Chennai is one of the very, very powerful temples of Shiva. If you do go to India, I know it is in a crowded place. I know it is not in a magical place, but enter that temple and the city disappears into oblivion. The city noise disappears into oblivion. That energy is still as sacred as it was thousands of years ago. And that vision of that Shivalingam there is the most amazing darshan you could ever think of having. Kapaleshwara. That's a Shiva temple. So Kapala Bhairava. So because we talk of skull, we're talking of visions, because where does the vision form? In your head, right? That creativity, ultimate expansion, the ability to include everyone, the ability to love everyone. Like Swami was all of these Bhairavas in his own beautiful, magnanimous way. When he would just get lost in the bhajans, he was Unmatta Bhairava. When he was taking projects that were so huge and nobody had done it, he was the other Bhairava, the Krodha Bhairava, and all of that. So you can imagine that Bhairava doesn't mean a nasty person or something to be afraid of. If you understand Swami's aspects, Sai Baba's aspects, for example, because many of you are devotees of Sai Baba, and I can relate to that. I noticed that all these energies flow through him. Unfettered. There was nothing to bind these energies. They just kept flowing. So when we worship these, when we meditate on these, when we learn these verses as a sadhana, and be happy that this is all I want to do in my life, and be content with that learning, not saying I'll finish this, then go to the next, and none of that. But when we are content with that, then the doors open. Kapala Bhairava. Kapala Bhairava meaning is skull. Kapala is skull. Elephant. Why elephant? Because elephant has the big skull. Just to give us an idea of what we are talking of, right? Magnanimous. The energy of this Bhairava will help you complete all the unfinished work. All the unfinished work. Anything that you didn't get rewarded for will come to you. Anything that you feel like, oh my God, I did so much, and I offered it with all selflessness, but why? All of that will get resolved by divine grace, and that grace comes when we tune into this aspect of Bhairava, Kapala Bhairava, from the northwest, because through him flows Mahendri. She is the consort of Kapala Bhairava. All right. Then Bhishana will come. Chamundi is victorious. Chandi Chamundi. There is a temple of Chamundi in Mysore, very powerful temple. I have not had the privilege to go there yet. She has not allowed me, even though I spent a month, or not a month, 3-4 months in Mysore learning yoga. I just couldn't go near the temple. I don't know. It was just blocked. Like I say, I don't go to temple just for the sake of going. I need that call to come. She didn't allow me. Hopefully that call will come someday. So Chamundi, her energy flows through this Bhairava, Bhishana Bhairava. Bhishana means fearful, fierce. That's why Bhishma means one who everybody is afraid of, because he's so fearful. The vehicle is lion. So lion, you think of a lion, it doesn't really create fear in that sense. It's a positive fear. You say, wow. That fearfulness, in this term, you've got to understand as that fear that brings reverence. That's why time is ruthless, right? When you face these elements of time, it humbles you. And all you want to say, oh gosh, this is a powerful moment in my life. I need to be humble. I don't want to fight this. I can't fight it. I just want to revere it. I want to pray. When you do that, then Bhishana Bhairava's grace comes. Chamundi flows through him. It obliterates negativity. That's how these words came to me. It obliterates negativity. There are other meanings to this Bhairava, which is kind of more or less, but I wanted to say he obliterates, completely removes negativity in your life. Whatever form whatever way you perceive negativity, you don't have to philosophize it. Whatever it is, he obliterates. Then you will not see anything negative, anything bad, anything unholy, and therefore you will stop judging. So that's what happens. For that obliteration in our subconscious and unconscious mind, you need a powerful lion-like energy of Bhishana. And when you invoke Bhishana's attention by dancing and facing that particular direction and learning that particular verse, then Chamundi's grace comes to you. And the last one is Maha Lakshmi. Now, the eighth Bhairavi, because of religious dogma, you will not find this anywhere on the internet. That Mahalakshmi is linked to Samhara Bhairava. You would say, wait a minute, how can that energy, Mahalakshmi has to be with Vishnu? And this is how we have conditioned our mind. We have caused that. But when I sat in the sanctum sanctorum in Mahalakshmi's presence, the Bhairavashtakam came to me. And I know this from the depths of my heart, that when there is all of these other Bhairavis can be consort, why do we come to the eighth Bhairava and just say, okay, Chandi, put it as Chandi. We can't say Mahalakshmi, nobody will accept it. And therefore, you will find it on the internet or anywhere you look for, they will put it as Chandi. No, Chandi, Chamundi is one energy. It's not out of our convenience. This is how they're all being one. There is always only one. Even in our altar now, you'll see there is a Vishnu Lakshmi next to the Shivalingam, because that is a manifestation of that original cosmic principle. You will see on to your left is Vishnu and to the right is Mahalakshmi. In honor of this great revelation, we got these idols and got them very beautifully blessed in one of the oldest temples, and Mahalakshmi's presence. We put them there and we did a Sahasranama Archana and got it blessed. So in the Varadaraja Perumal temple, one of the oldest and the biggest temples in Kanchipuram, older than even Tirupati and so on. Anyway, the point is that these distinctions have been created by history and all of that. But in true spirituality, in your sadhana, in my sadhana, they all mingle as one. All mingle as one. So Mahalakshmi is the energy that flows when you go facing northeast, Ishana, in that direction, and you do the final dance, you invoke Samhara Bhairava. Samhara is the meaning of Samhara is contraction, dissolution. In other words, he will take your ego, completely allow it to dissolve into him. See, we talked about gratitude, Mahalakshmi. How does gratitude flow? If we are still complaining, yeah, I would be grateful for everything, but I have got this, but I have got that. That is not gratitude at all. It's conditional gratitude or conditional love. Unconditional gratitude is you thank for no reason. For no reason you thank. I know it sounds awkward, but that's the energy that flows. Then you're invoking Mahalakshmi, the goddess of abundance and prosperity, begins to flow into your life. Because you want Samhara Bhairava to dissolve all this negativity. The dog stands for gratitude. There is no better example of an animal. I'm not making this up. This is all part of the scriptures of Ashta Bhairava. So dog is an example of gratitude. Mahalakshmi stands for gratitude. And with that gratitude comes contentment. Maha Lakshmi in abundance comes when you are grateful in your thinking, right? When we say thank you, we are given more opportunities to say thank you. If we say, I will say thank you when I get this, then when you get that, you will not say thank you because you're not trained yourself to say thank you. So when you get that, what will happen? You will say, okay, I got this. Now I want that. Then I will say thank you. That will come. Then you'll say, okay, now I want that. Because that's how you're training your mind only to want, not to say thanks. So when you don't train yourself to say thanks for the little things, how can you say thanks for the bigger things? So start saying thanks, right? That is why when we get up in the morning, we say, Karagre vasate Lakshmi, Karamadhye Saraswati, Karamule Saraswati, Karamadhye tu Govinda, or Karamule Saraswati, Karamadhye Saraswati, Karamule tu Govinda, Prabhate Karadarshanam. You're saying, okay, all these energies are in my hand. And you wipe the face. You're saying, bless me. I'm so happy that all these energies are blessing me. A sense of positive radiation comes. So Samhara Bhairava is not out to dissolve you and your life and all your happiness. No. He dissolves this false sense. So the energy actually, like I've mentioned in the last line, it dissolves all the karmas. It dissolves your bondage. Because the ultimate liberation is a matter of grace. There is no technique to get there. All we are doing is practice to earn that grace. When, how that grace will come, it could happen to you tonight, tomorrow. Not that you will die. Just because you're liberated, you will be enlightened. When that happens, it's a matter of grace. We don't know. But when that grace comes, it dissolves all karma. That means you will be completely detached from all your actions and reactions. You'll identify yourself with the Supreme Bhairava, Samhara Bhairava. So we learned about these 8 Bhairavas. Asitango Rurus Chanda, Krodonmatta Bhairavaha, Kapali Bhishanaschaiva, Samharaschashta Bhairavam. So Kapali, Bhishna, Samhara, thus you have 8 Bhairavas. That is what the sloka goes. Asitango Ruruschanda Krodonmatta Bhairavaha Kapali Bhishanaschaiva Samharaschashta Bhairavam.